Namaste. Today is a beautiful day. Today is Ganesh Jayanti, the birthday of Lord Ganesha. And today Mercury is becoming direct because last 15 to 20 days Mercury was retrograde. So many of you may have encountered certain problems regarding taking decisions or certain chaos. But now, today, Mercury has become direct. As well as 2 days ago, Venus has also become direct. So now things are going to streamline in your life. Things are going to become more and more better in your life. And in today's podcast, I am going to share more about Saturn in 11th house. Saturn in 11th house in a good sign with good positive aspects and conjunctions brings immense wealth. There are many millionaires and billionaires with Saturn in 11th house. Saturn in the 11th house is excellent. Saturn is very social by nature, and 11th house is also connected with society, being social, being human. So there is much to share about Saturn in 11th house. But at the same time, there are also certain spiritual insights that I have shared in this podcast. Remember, this channel is for specific people who have a certain depth of understanding and who have a certain spiritual quest. This channel is not for everybody. It is not for masses. It is for a certain class of people. And I never say in my channel that subscribe to my channel, because I want only those who can understand what I am sharing to subscribe to my channel. So whether you unsubscribe or whether you subscribe, it is totally up to you. I have nothing to lose because there is no agenda to my sharing. There is no agenda to my channel. If at all there is anything, then that is to spread the wisdom, the knowledge, and the love. If you can relate, if you can resonate with what I am sharing, then I can say that you are on the right path, because everybody cannot understand, cannot resonate, and cannot relate with what I am sharing. So in a way, I am always happy when somebody resonates, somebody relates, and somebody writes emails or shares his or her experience after watching my videos. And let me tell you, there are many people who have reached me through their email, through their WhatsApp messages. And probably it is a message from the master to me that yes, even though there are many negative people all around us, there are many positive, beautiful souls who are in search of the real thing. And let me tell you, only the real is attracted towards the real. In this podcast, I have shared certain spiritual insights that may not go well with each one of you. Many of you may not even understand. But if you are able to understand, I must say, you are a special person and you have a bright future. So let's begin. Cautious money maker, but slow on spending. When you earn well and spend less, it is but obvious that you will have a good earning. And so, a native with Saturn 11 is generally a paise wala, meaning a man or a woman who always has good amount of cash. Saturn loves finances. Saturn is very blunt when it comes to the facts of life. Saturn will not accept all your fancy ideas and poetries and long tales. Saturn will simply ask how much you have in cash. It is a possibility that the man who composed the famous Hindi song Baap Bada Na Bhaiya, Sabse Bada Rupaiya, meaning neither the father nor the brother, if at all anybody is greater than it is money. Or the man who sung the song Paisa Bolta Hai, meaning money speaks for itself, must be a Saturn 11 man or a Saturn 2 man or a Saturn 6 man. Money is in the 2nd, 6th and 11th house. Here it is that you find the real money, the real cash. I have met many millionaires who had Saturn in the 6th or 2nd or 11th house. Money is hot in these houses. In fact, if you miss positive aspects to 2nd, 6th and 11th house, you are going to struggle your whole life for those crispy currency notes. Money, paisa. Whether it is sex or money, Saturn is straightforward. To Saturn, the actuals matter. When it comes to sex, Saturn demands prolonged orgasm. And when it comes to money, Saturn compels you to have good savings, long-term saving schemes. Saturn loves all kind of schemes. That is why natives with a prominent Saturn become good construction developers, that is builders, or good bank executives, or good C-class boardroom sales directors. Saturn is real. Saturn is that man who will not be impressed by all those fancy features of the car that you are trying to sell. Rather, he would simply step ahead and ask only one question: Kitna deti hai? Meaning, how much mileage the car gives. Very practical, pragmatic, and blunt is the nature of Saturn. The famous advertisement of Maruti Suzuki, Kitna deti hai, was so far the most Saturnian pragmatic advertisement. But now recently, Tata Motors has gone much beyond Kitna deti hai and asked the most important question that reflects Saturn's cautious nature. The Tata Motors advertisement asks, Kitni safe hai? How safe is the car, considering the growing accidents in India? So you see, such advertisements are typical Saturn, asking the very practical question about mileage and safety. Once there was a man. He had come to the great master, and he was those kind of typical intellectual type mercurial person. And then he started asking questions. One question that he asked was, which is the greatest flower, the most important flower in this world? The man thought that the master will say rose or a lotus. But the master is realistic, very realistic. And so the master smiled and said, the most important flower on this planet is cotton. Very straight, very practical answer. We all would have been naked had there been no cotton flower available on this planet. The comfort and the softness that a cloth made from cotton provides is something that no other material can provide. Saturn is just like the benevolent master, realistic. Remember, cotton plants depicts the true image of the moment of life. They just flew away with the blink of eyes. And so it says, just enjoy every second. It won't come back. Saturn is very practical by nature. There are men and women who start feeling as if they have become saints and seers. Then they start planning to build an ashram or to head towards the Himalayan mountains or to start some advertisements of how enlightened they have become. Now tell me, will the real enlightenment want any advertisement or publicity? He is happy to be in a quiet place than otherwise. All sorts of people come to me. Some have fancies of being enlightened. Some feel or rather believe that all their 7 chakras are activated and now they have become the Buddha. A few days ago, one such enlightened man had called me.
He said all his chakras are now activated and soon he is starting an ashram. I said, "Why have you called me? What is it that you want from a common man like me?" The man said, "I am in trouble. Actually, I was invited by a family for a spiritual purpose. And then I had an affair with their younger daughter. I had a breakup with that young woman, but now I am feeling restless. Now what to do? I read about you, so I wanted your consultation." Now this man was saying that all his chakras are activated and he is now starting an ashram. And look, just look what a mess he has got himself into. My fellows, spiritualism is not so easy. But people are shallow, and so I just keep my ears open, listening to all such enlightened men getting entangled with women. Terrible, but that's the truth, my fellows. That's the naked hard truth of these so-called enlightened beings. Reminds me of Papaji, a great divine master, and his beautiful quote. Papaji says, "If you see the illusion, you are enlightened. But if you think that you are enlightened, you are in the illusion." I am happy and I also enjoy a lot when people come to me and say that they are enlightened beings. Because the moment they say or try to say this, I realize that they are in the illusion and not enlightened beings. Thanks to Papaji for making this whole process so simple and effective. For ages, people have created many misconceptions and myths about Saturn, as if Saturn hates sex, Saturn hates money. No, that is not the case. Remember, Saturn rules the most commercial, practical, pragmatic sign of Capricorn. And the same Saturn also rules the most forward sign, most liberal and most realistic sign, the sign of Aquarius. In fact, I have met many women and men having Aquarius moon sign, and 99% of all those women had been rebel, unconventional, and way ahead of their age or time. So Saturn is all about the realities of life, my fellows, and money is the most important reality of life. Saturn 11 has all the potential to help you rise to a position that would bring much wealth and popularity to your name. Remember, 3, 7 and 11 houses are directly connected to popularity, and Saturn does well in all these 3 houses. Interestingly, the 3rd sign Gemini, 7th sign Libra and 11th sign Aquarius are perfect signs for Saturn to provide best results, especially in 7th and 11th house. US POTUS Richard Nixon and US POTUS Gerald Ford had Saturn in the 11th house. In Kama house, that is in the sexual house, Saturn has the potential to provide many sexual pleasures. US POTUS Bill Clinton also had Saturn in 11th house, and his quest for sexual pleasures is well known, especially the sexual scandals that happened in the White House during his presidency. Saturn is connected to masses. So when Saturn is in the 11th house, then mass popularity is highly possible. Even when Saturn is in the 7th house, mass popularity comes. Saturn 3 brings more popularity in the bureaucratic circle or within large organizations. Although popularity comes and native enjoys top positions in the society, still the pressure to keep their social image intact is always on their head. They are compelled to maintain the image that they have so well crafted for themselves. Saturn 11 also brings pressure in ensuring that every time they perform on stage or deliver a speech or do some acting or participate in debates, whatsoever they do before the public or for the public is perfected and brings more glory to their persona, that is, image in society. Generally, the elder sibling is somewhat cold, reserved, and loves to criticize others, including the native. Saturn 11 connects you to masses, meaning people from all walks of life, especially the poor. Jupiter 11 connects you to a certain class of people who belong to the wealthy, to the upper class of society. That is how a Saturn 11 native has more scope to become a popular figure than Jupiter 11. We have already seen 3 presidents of the United States with Saturn 11: Bill Clinton, Gerald Ford, and Richard Nixon. Miss World and noted actress Aishwarya Rai also has Gemini Saturn in 11. Rahu 11 is a poor substitute for Saturn 11. Saturn is real and Saturn is regal. Rahu has no regality. Rahu is considered as Shudra, or someone who wants to take credit by using his network of friends who are at higher posts or taking advantage of friends belonging to the higher society. Saturn 11 is not like Rahu 11. Saturn 11 will not take advantage of his friends. Saturn 11 native will not use his friends as a medium to climb the ladders of his career. Instead, Saturn 11 will be a true friend, someone who will walk the talk. If a Saturn 11 promises something, then he makes sure that he lives to his word. I will never trust a Rahu 11 native, but I will always trust a Saturn 11 native. That is the difference between a real friend, that is a Saturn 11, and a fake friend, that is a Rahu 11. Understand the difference, savor the difference. Saturn loves to have friends, real friends. But Saturn 11 native forgets the fact that with real friends comes the real enemies also. Once Gautam Buddha was asked, "Does the enlightened man have friends?" And Buddha said, "No." The questioner was shocked because he thought the man who is enlightened must have the whole world as his friend. But Gautam Buddha is right. Whether you are shocked or not, Buddha is right. When Buddha says the enlightened man has no friends, he is saying he cannot have friends because he cannot have enemies. They both come together. Friendliness he can have, but not friendship. Remember, friendliness is unfocused, unaddressed love. It is not any contract, spoken or unspoken. It is not from one individual to another individual. It is from one individual to the whole existence. Enlightened man, one who has attained the ultimate truth, never has any friend. Because to have friends also means having enemies. Friendliness he can have, but no friends, never. Friendliness is just the way of your being real and authentic. You start radiating it. It comes on its own accord. You don't have to bring it. Whoever comes close to you will feel the friendliness. That does not mean that nobody will be your enemy. As far as you are concerned, you will not be an enemy of anyone, because you are no more a friend to anyone. But your height, your consciousness, your blissfulness, your silence, your peace will annoy many, will irritate many, will make many, without understanding you, your enemies. Buddha is friendly with everyone, but Buddha will never have a friendship with anyone, because friendship brings attachment, and to someone like Buddha, attachment has no place in his life. But Saturn 11 is all about being attached to friends, having friendships. Saturn's nature is to hold on, to cling, to remain attached. And so Saturn 11 brings intense attachment to friends. And the native loves to make friends, but with a very cautious approach. But once the bond of friendship is made, then they literally stick and remain loyal friends. To have a girlfriend who has a Saturn 11 is a good thing because she will not cheat you and will not abandon you. The same is the case with a boyfriend who has a Saturn 11. He remains loyal as they take friendship very seriously. Serious guys, you see, Saturn 11 are serious guys as far as friendship is concerned and as far as profits and gains and money is concerned. 11th house is considered as a Marak, killer house. This is because this is the house of desires and pleasures. Why you want money? Why you want regular income? Why you want profits? Why you want dividends? Because you want to fulfill your desires. You see, on the higher level, this house is therefore considered as the house of desires. And the ancient seers and sages were not just astrologers, but were also highly spiritual mystics. And so they were perfectly aware that it is desires that eventually lead the soul into the unending cycle of births and rebirths and sufferings and miseries. And therefore they made a note in their scriptures stating 11th house as one of the killer house, Marak house in the birth chart. Saturn in the house of desires, that is in the house of 11th, does not stop or deny the fulfillment of desires. But Saturn regulates the domain of desires, meaning not all desires are fulfilled, as Lord Saturn puts certain restrictions on the native's desires. The native is compelled to drop his or her desire. Many natives with Saturn 11 face issues with children or generally are blessed with only one daughter or one son, or probably no sons at all. In fact, the most interesting part is that by chance, even if they are blessed with a son, still they don't get any happiness from their son but only from their daughter. Whenever I talk about Saturn or share about Saturn, one thing comes prominently before me, and that is attachment. And that reminds me of a beautiful story, a true incident that happened when Jesus was a small child. It happened. Jesus was a small child, must be 6 years old. He was visiting a Jewish temple with his father and mother. After a while, Jesus was lost somewhere in the crowd. So they tried and tried to search for little Jesus but couldn't find him. Finally, in the evening, they could find him. He was sitting with some scholars and he was just a child. He was discussing with them things about the unknown. So his father said, "Jesus, what are you doing here? We have been worried about you the whole day." Jesus said, "Don't be worried about me. I was looking after my father's business." The father said, "I am your father, and what type of business are you looking after here? I am a carpenter." And Jesus said, "My father is there up in the heaven. You are not my father." And this is not the only incident where we see Jesus in the state of detachment. There is one more incident, a very beautiful incident, but only a meditative being can truly understand the significance of it. The rest cannot. It happened. Jesus had returned to Jerusalem after spending many years outside Jerusalem. It is said that Jesus spent many years in the Himalayas, and there have been many books revealing his visits to Kashmir and how Jesus was inspired by the teachings of Buddha. That is why we find many similarities between Buddhism and Christianity. In fact, there are books written on these similarities. So Jesus had arrived at Jerusalem as an enlightened man, a man of many miracles, and many people had started following Jesus. And one afternoon, Jesus was standing and sharing his thoughts with the people of Jerusalem when someone came rushing towards Jesus and said, "Jesus, your mother is waiting outside, and the crowd is so large that she cannot come in. She wants to see you. Jesus said, "No one is my mother. Tell that woman, no one is my mother." Now, this may sound rude and hard to your ears, but Jesus cannot be rude and cannot be hard. But sometimes the truth is rude, the truth is hard, and Jesus cannot lie. He is right. No one is my mother. Always remember, and I specifically say this to only those few of my genuine followers and listeners who have a certain depth of understanding. Always remember, spiritualism begins only when you come out of the womb of your mother and father. Until you remain attached to your mother and father, you cannot come to the master. You cannot surrender to the master. Jesus puts it very clearly and bluntly, because the real master is always blunt. He has nothing to hide, and there is absolutely no agenda. And so Jesus says, if you want to become my disciple, you have to hate everyone. You have to hate your father and mother and everyone. Jesus quotes, "If you want to be my disciple, you must, by comparison, hate everyone else. Your father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, yes, even your own life. Otherwise, you cannot be my disciple." An ordinary shallow man or a shallow listener may not understand a single word of Jesus or of what I am sharing through this podcast. He may distort the whole meaning and imply that which is not the real meaning. Jesus is simply giving a message that until you remain attached to your people, to your relatives, to your father and your mother, you cannot truly surrender to me. And unless you surrender to me, how can I make you my disciple? How deep and how beautiful is this, my fellows? Only a true spiritual seeker can relate, others cannot. And that is why I have been saying this again and again, that this channel is not for everyone. This channel is only for selective people, a selective audience who has a certain depth of understanding. That is why I never say on my channel that subscribe to my channel, because I don't want to say these words. I want those people to relate, to resonate, and then if they want to subscribe, they want to follow me, they can. There is no compulsion, because there is no agenda to my sharing. It is perfectly right when Jesus says that you need to detach with everybody, because you cannot come to a master. He is right, because you cannot come to a master unless you leave your father and mother completely. That is your past associations, past relationships. How can you come to a master if you are still committed to the past? Your present is burdened, your future is dark. You have to be uncommitted to the past, completely broken with the past, discontinued. Only then your present is light and your future is not a mechanical progression of the past. Do you remember the Mahabharata war? What Krishna says to Arjuna? Krishna says, "Shoot, Arjuna. The man standing before you is not your grandfather, but an enemy of dharma. Don't see Bhishma as your grandfather. Drop all notions of relationships and remember that you have surrendered to me. So follow my word, shoot your arrow and kill that old man, Bhishma." Unless you disconnect yourself from relations and relationships, you cannot truly listen to the word of the master. You cannot truly surrender to the master. Arjuna stands tall in the whole history of Mahabharata because of his immense devotion towards Krishna, because of his total surrender to Lord Krishna. You cannot surrender to the Master in totality until you cut off all the ties. That is why Jesus says, hate everyone, only then can you come to me. Only then can you surrender to me, and only then can you become my disciple. How beautiful is Jesus and how beautiful is Krishna. People talk a lot about Jesus and Krishna, but how many have really understood the essence of Jesus and of Krishna? How many have really resonated with their message, with their word? Saturn 11 should meditate on words of Jesus, words of Krishna, because too much attachment only brings sufferings and miseries. Swami Vivekananda quotes, all misery and pain come from attachment. You can love your wife, you can love your husband, you can love your children, but who is asking you to get attached? But that is how the mind is. The nature of the mind is to cling, and a person who follows his or her mind is always found to be attached. He thinks that it is only through attachment that you can love. In fact, the shallow society and shallow people always see attachment as love, which is one of the greatest blunders leading to many miseries. When Patanjali says non-attachment, he is not anti-love, he is for love. Non-attachment means be natural, be loving, be flowing, but don't get obsessed and addicted. Addiction is the problem. Then it is like a disease. You cannot love anybody except your child. This is addiction. Then you will be in misery. Your child can die. Then there is no possibility for your love to flow. Even if your child is not going to die, he will grow. And the more he grows, the more he will become independent. And then there will be pain. Every mother suffers and every father suffers. Because someday the child with whom you have been attached will become an adult. He will fall in love with some woman, and then the mother suffers. A competitor has entered. And this is because of attachment. If a mother really loves the child, she will help him to be independent. She will help him to move in the world and to make as many love contacts as possible. Because the more you love, the more you are fulfilled. And when her child falls in love with a woman, she will be happy. She will dance with joy. Such a mother is the most beautiful mother. She understands that love has nothing to do with attachment, but has more to do with detachment. A Saturn 11 woman should understand that because Saturn 11 casts its aspect on the 5th house of children, it makes you more inclined towards attachments with children. So be aware. Love your child, but when you love, let that love well up through the state of detachment. And then there will be a dance. Then the love between you and your child will rise to new heights and will remain intact forever. Because love blossoms only in a free environment, and you can give freedom to the person you love only when you remain detached, only when you don't become possessive. Remember, love is not possessiveness. Many people think that's what love is. You possess somebody totally. To possess somebody is to destroy all possibility of love. Generally, Saturn 11 native has only 1 or 2 children, unless there are any supportive planets for having many children. In cases where you have only 1 child, you become too possessive of the child, and a time comes when the child starts suffocating. That is how many fathers and mothers suffer, not because of the child, but because of their possessiveness. For a newly married bride who has a Saturn 11 mother-in-law, it becomes a challenge because her husband's mother is too possessive of her son, and that leads to many frictions between the newly married bride and her mother-in-law. Saturn 11 scales down the happiness of marriage. Native expects more, and the native's marriage partner is unable to satisfy the expectations of the native. However, this doesn't imply that Saturn 11 would file a divorce. Saturn is a very traditional, ethical, and tolerating planet. Social image, social obligation, marriage vows, and promises, all of this means a lot to Saturn. And so, Saturn 11 generally never files for a divorce. A temporary separation is possible, but a legal separation is not possible and is beyond the nature of Saturn. Rahu leads to divorce mainly because either the native is cheating on his wife or the wife is cheating on her husband. Divorces caused by Rahu are generally due to extramarital affairs. Ketu also leads to divorce, but here the case is little different. Here an extramarital affair is not the primary reason. The primary reason is not being satisfied sexually in marriage, or being ignored by the partner, who always keeps himself busy and treats his wife as a not so important person. So the reasons for divorce caused by Ketu are a bit more on the mental level. It is less about cheating and more about not being compatible in thoughts, in behavior and understandings. Saturn 11 natives should be careful of their friends. Always remember, one who is close is the one who can backstab you. One whom you believe to be the best friend can become your greatest enemy. It happened. It happened with Jesus too. Judas was very close to Jesus. In fact, Judas was the only literate person out of the 12 disciples of Jesus. And he was always around Jesus. And Jesus showered so much of love on him. And yet, why Judas betrayed Jesus? Why Judas sold Jesus to the Romans for a few silver coins? What went wrong? It happened that evening when Jesus declared to all his followers. Jesus said, "Nobody is going to be my successor. I have not come here to create a dynasty. My kingdom is the other world, the kingdom of God." And when Jesus declared this, Judas was also present, and all his hope and all his ambitions of becoming the successor to Jesus was broken with despair. He was standing just a foot away from Jesus, but after the declaration, the distance between him and Jesus seemed to have grown to 1,000 miles. That evening itself, out of anger, Judas informed the Romans about Jesus' whereabouts, and the Romans captured Jesus and later crucified him. You see, this is how it happens often. Those who were close go far away and then they betray, and those who were far come close, they stay, they remain loyal. Christians don't talk about Judas, but his psychology should be understood more clearly as he is not alone. It happens almost always with every great master. Strangely enough, those who were very close have gone far away, and those who were far away had never thought, dreamed of being very close, came close. Gautam Buddha was betrayed by one of his cousin brothers. Mahavira was betrayed by his son-in-law. In both cases, the situation was the same as with Judas, because they naturally hoped, without being conscious of it, that they were going to be successors. Always remember, that is the message for Saturn 11 natives. Be more friendly. Let there be more friendliness rather than getting entangled in friendships. A wise man never falls in relationships or friendships, but that doesn't mean he is not friendly. In fact, only a Buddha can be truly friendly. When Buddha says, "I don't have friends," he is right, because when you have friends, you also are going to have enemies. Friendship is attachment. A relationship is also attachment. And whenever there is attachment, there is bound to be the other side too. That is how the only friend becomes an enemy. Only a lover can become an enemy. And that is how you see husband and wife fighting out in the courts for that one piece of paper called a divorce order. Always remember, when you love a person, you are gathering momentum to hate him. That's why only friends can become enemies. You cannot suddenly become an enemy unless you have first become a friend. Lovers can quarrel and fight because unless you love, how can you hate? And so love, but love with detachment. Make friends, but don't get into friendship. You can be friendly. To be friendly is always good. To relate with others is always good than to be in a relationship. Life is all about relating. Life is all about being friendly. But people are ruled by their mind, and the nature of the mind is to cling. And so people have been relating love to attachments when love has more to do with detachment. Look at the master. The real master is like the lotus flower, rooted in the water in this human world, but still above the water, detached. Be like a lotus flower. Learn to live with detachment. Nobody is stopping you from socializing, and nobody is stopping you from experiencing love. But while you do so, always remind yourself, always observe consciously on whether you getting attached, whether you are getting entangled, because that is how people get stuck, and then once they are stuck, they remain stuck. The only way to get going is to start living your life in a let go. You can let go when you start becoming detached, and you can become detached when you start moving away from your monkey mind. The nature of the mind is to wander. The nature of the mind is to cling. But you must realize through your own self-effort that you are not the mind, says Bhagwan Raman Maharshi. And to Saturn 11, let go of the attachments to your friendships and let go of the attachments to your children. Just live in a let go, and then you will start feeling lighter. Then there will be a dance, a song to your life. Always remember, deep inside you, something stirs, a dance awakens, and you want to dance with the wind and the trees and the clouds and the sun. It all becomes sacred. Not to be happy is to be ungrateful to existence. So you just let go and dance in thankfulness to nature, to the Supreme Being, that you are alive to experience this. Meditate every day and learn to live your life in detachment. That is how you can overcome the clinging nature of Saturn 11 by letting go. Go out into the wide open spaces of nature. When you take it all in, the unending horizon, the whispering wind, the swaying trees, you find that it's all a dance. If you just let go for some time, you will feel that everything is constantly celebrating life, dancing around you. Let go and dance your way to God. Don't take life too seriously. Sing, dance, and just go with the flow of this beautiful journey called life. Jai Sri Ganesha, Jai Guru. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha.